The first night I stepped on the ship, I knew something was wrong. The silence wasn't just quiet, it was breathing. You ever walk into a place and feel like you're not alone? Not just that someone might be watching, but that someone definitely is. That's how it felt. The ship groaned under my boots, old steel, cold as ice. We were far out near the Arctic, nowhere. They called her the Marigold, but the crew called her the Drifter. She'd been missing for 40 years. No sign of the original crew. Just came back one day, floating on the open sea. I'm Mark. I do sonar work. I'm trained to listen for sounds deep under the ocean. Submarines, earthquakes, whale calls. But the sounds they picked up from this ship? Not normal. Not natural. That's why I was sent here. To map the signals, figure out where they came from, and why the ship came back without a soul on board. There were 9 of us total. Scientists, engineers, a captain. All of us flown in by helicopter, dropped onto a ghost. The ship didn't have power when they found it. They brought in generators, strung up lights, set up a command center in the old mess hall. The inside looked untouched. Dust everywhere, rust. But the kitchen still had plates on the tables. One even had a fork halfway to a bite, like someone just vanished mid-meal. I didn't like it, but orders were orders. 2-week mission, in, record, out. On my first night, the captain gathered us, said we had rules. He didn't smile when he read them. He wasn't joking. He said, "Don't go below deck 3, never open any sealed doors, wear your headset at all times, and no matter what, don't respond to whispers." We laughed at first, thought it was some weird sailor thing, but the captain didn't laugh back. He looked tired. He said, "I mean it. People who break the rules don't come back right." That killed the mood real quick. My bunk was small and cold. Metal walls, thin mattress, the kind of place where nightmares feel at home. I couldn't sleep. The wind scraped across the hull like fingernails, and the ship creaked like it hated being awake. I stared at the ceiling for hours, listened to the hum of the generators, then I thought I heard it, a soft breath. Not mine. I sat up, held my own breath, listened. Nothing. But I swore. It wasn't silence. It was waiting. The next morning I ran the sonar gear, hooked into the ship's metal bones, let sound pulses echo through the walls and chambers. The readings were strange. The ship wasn't just bouncing signals, it was sending them back. Like something was alive in there, breathing with the echoes. I told the others. They said it was probably just bad wiring or heat warping the pipes. But I know sonar, and this felt different. I tried not to think about it, tried to focus on my job, but every time I sent out a ping, I felt like something heard it. And each night, the feeling got worse. You know that moment right before you fall asleep, when your brain buzzes, when you feel like you're falling, even though you're in bed? That moment lasted hours for me. Every creak became a footstep, every groan a whisper. On the 3rd night, I asked the captain again about the rules. "What's below deck 3?" I said. He just shook his head. "Whatever's down there ain't for you," he said. "It's better when it's quiet." Then he looked at me like he was about to say more, but he didn't. Just walked away. That made me want to know more, of course. It's human nature. Tell us not to look. We look. Deck 4 was sealed with a thick metal door. It had a welded crossbeam across it, like someone really didn't want it opened. There were deep scratches in the steel, like something inside had tried to claw its way out. That night, I lay in bed and thought about those scratches. What could leave marks like that on metal? Fingernails don't do that. I put on my headset like the rules said, listened to the static, the soft crackle of the system. Then I heard it. Very faint, but clear. A voice. It said, "Hello?" I took off the headset, heart racing, checked my gear. Nothing was playing. No signal. Just static again. I put the headset back on. Nothing. But now I knew something was trying to talk, and I had a feeling it had heard me first. The first week was cold. Freezing, actually. The heaters barely worked. My breath fogged in the air, even inside the ship. It made everything feel more dead than it already was. The crew kept busy. The engineers checked the engines, even though they weren't planning to restart them. The science team cataloged anything strange. Mold patterns, rust growth, dust prints. Most of it made no sense. It was like the ship had just stopped aging one day. But nothing really happened. Not at first. We worked, we logged what we could, we kept our heads down. And yeah, it was boring. Until it wasn't. On day 6, I was running a sound test through the lower decks. Just a regular sonar sweep. Ping out, wait for the bounce. Repeat. Only this time, the bounce came back weird. Not a shape, not an echo, a voice. Soft, garbled, but it was there. I froze, played it again, turned the volume up, and I swear to God, it said, "Don't leave me here." I took off the headphones, hands shaking. I played it for one of the others, Dev. He worked comms. He laughed. "Sick prank, man. Got me." I didn't laugh. He said it was just interference. Old rust bucket like this, probably bouncing static in weird ways, he said. But static doesn't beg. And this voice, it was begging. The next day, something strange happened in the mess hall. We just finished eating. Everyone left except me. I stayed to wipe down a table, and when I came back in, there it was. A wrench, standing straight up on the metal floor, not lying down, standing, like someone placed it there, balanced it perfectly, but no one else had been in the room. I checked the cameras. Nothing. I showed the captain. He said, "Weird things happen on old ships," then walked away. They all kept brushing it off. Everything. The whispers, the wrench. But I couldn't, because every night after that, the voice came back. I started recording everything I heard, set my headset to always on, logged the whispers. Some were soft, some were angry. One night it said, "You opened it." But I didn't. Not yet. I tried to warn the others again. They told me I needed rest. The captain pulled me aside. "Don't stir panic," he said. "We've got enough to worry about." I started keeping to myself more, working alone, watching, listening. And then it happened. I was lying in bed, headset on, just listening to static like I always did now. Then, clear as day, I heard my name. Mark. I sat up, pulled off the headset, looked around my bunk. No one. I turned the volume all the way down. Still heard it. Mark. But not through the headset. From the wall. It was like someone was inside the ship, whispering to me through the metal. I pressed my ear to the wall. Cold. Dead cold. No more sound. The next morning, I checked my sonar logs. There was a spike during the night. Short. Sharp. Almost like something moved inside the hull. And then, nothing. Like it disappeared. I asked Dev to help me scan below deck 3. He laughed again. "Not happening. Rule's a rule."
He paused, then said, "You thinking of going down there yourself?" I didn't answer. He gave me a look. "Just don't, man, seriously." But the thought was already in my head. And the voice? It was getting louder. At breakfast, one of the scientists, Jenna, mentioned something weird. She said she kept dreaming of a hallway, long, wet, and black, with doors that never opened, and someone standing at the end. But the face was always blurry. Others at the table got quiet. Then one guy, Brandon, said, "I've had the same dream." I didn't say anything, but so had I. Same hallway, same doors, same figure. We all laughed it off, pretended it was just stress. But deep down, we knew it wasn't. Something was getting into our heads, feeding on us, slowly. That night, I recorded the voice again. It said, "You hear me now," like it knew I was listening. I asked it, "What do you want?" Silence. Then, out. I didn't sleep at all. I kept thinking about the sealed door on deck 4 and the scratches, and the rule, never open sealed doors. I kept thinking, what's behind that door? And more importantly, who put it there? I should have left it alone. I should have kept my head down, but I didn't, because I needed to know. I thought I could handle it, but some doors don't stay closed forever, and some voices, they don't whisper for long.
The sealed door haunted me. I couldn't get it out of my head. Every time I walked past deck 3, I felt it, like heat from a furnace. But it wasn't warm. It was heavy, like the air pressed down harder near that stairwell. The captain said not to go below deck 3. We all heard the rule, but rules only work when your brain can ignore the itch, and mine couldn't. That night, I dreamed about the door. In the dream, I stood in front of it. The steel was black, wet, and it was breathing, slow, deep, in and out. It called to me, not with words, but with a pull, like a rope around my chest dragging me closer. I tried to back away, but my feet kept moving forward, one step, then another, until I placed my hand on the steel. It pulsed, like the hull of the ship had a heartbeat. I woke up drenched in sweat. That morning, I didn't tell anyone. I wanted to, but the crew already thought I was losing it. So I kept my mouth shut and listened. During lunch, Jenna, the night tech, sat next to me. She was pale, shaking. "You heard it too, didn't you?" she whispered. I froze. "Heard what?" She leaned closer. "Movement below the door." My skin crawled. "You saw something?" Her eyes darted around. "No, not saw. Felt. Like footsteps." Before I could say anything, Brandon cut in. He was across the table laughing. "You two need more sleep. Whole place is messing with us, that's it." But Jenna didn't laugh, and neither did I. That night, I couldn't resist. I went down to deck 3. The lights flickered as I walked the hall. Long shadows stretched across the rusted walls. My boots echoed, each step too loud, like I wasn't alone. When I reached the end of the hall, I saw it. The sealed door. Steel crossbeam welded across it. Thick, heavy. But the door wasn't silent. If I pressed my ear against it, I could hear something. Not a voice, not words. Scratching. Slow, uneven, like fingernails dragging across the inside of the metal. I pulled back fast,
heart hammering. I almost ran right then. Almost. But I had to be sure. I knelt down, pulled out my flashlight, shined it along the edges of the door. And that's when I saw them. Scratches. Dozens of them. All around the frame. Deep. Jagged. Like someone had tried to claw their way out. My throat dried. I ran my hand over the marks. Flakes of rust broke off. But beneath the rust, I saw something else. A fragment. White. I picked it up, held it to the light. It was small, thin, sharp. A fingernail. Human. I dropped it. It clinked against the floor and slid into the shadows. My stomach twisted. I backed away from the door, shaking my head. This wasn't just a sealed chamber. It was a prison. Someone, maybe the original crew, had locked something inside. And whatever it was, it wanted out. When I turned around, I wasn't alone. Jenna stood at the end of the hall, her face pale in the dim light. You heard it too, didn't you? I swallowed hard. Yeah. She stepped closer. I saw it move yesterday. The door. It bulged, like something pushed from the inside. My blood ran cold. You told anyone? She shook her head. They'll think I'm crazy, just like you. We stood in silence for a long time, listening to the hum of the lights, the distant groan of the ship. Then, faintly, we both heard it. A thud from behind the door. We froze, didn't breathe. Another thud, louder. The crossbeam rattled. Dust shook loose from the ceiling. Then silence. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. Finally, Jenna grabbed my arm. Come on, she whispered. We ran back up the stairs, didn't stop until we reached the mess hall. The others looked at us like we'd lost it. Faces half amused, half annoyed. What's wrong with you two? Brandon asked. Neither one of us answered. Because how do you explain a door that breathes? How do you tell people that something inside wants out? Later,
The storm hit 3 nights later. No warning, no forecast, just black clouds swallowing the sky. Waves slammed the side of the ship so hard I thought we'd tip. Wind howled like screaming metal, and the rain, it came sideways. Cold, heavy, angry. We lost power around midnight. The lights flickered once, then darkness. The kind of dark you can feel, like it wraps around your skin, like it sees you. We had backup generators, but they were slow to kick in. And in that gap, maybe 10, 15 minutes, something changed. I was in the lower hall, checking the cables, alone. I didn't plan to go near Deck 4, not after what I saw. But the ship was shaking, groaning like it was in pain, and the flashlight in my hand started flickering. Then, I heard it. Clang. Loud. Metal on metal. From below. I held my breath, stood still. Then again. Clang. Closer. The air felt thicker now, like every breath took effort, like it didn't want me breathing at all. I stepped carefully down to Deck 3. The emergency lights were red and dim, but just enough to see. The hallway looked longer than I remembered, or maybe I just didn't want to get to the end. I passed storage doors, pipes dripping cold water, mold patterns that looked like faces. And then I saw it. The sealed door. Only now, it wasn't sealed. The crossbeam was snapped in half, like it had been bent by something strong. One end hung loose, the other was twisted, wedged into the wall like a spear. And the door? Open. Just a crack, maybe 2 inches, but enough. Enough to feel the cold air spilling out, colder than the rest of the ship. Damp, salty, rotten. I pointed my flashlight at the gap. The light didn't help. It didn't go far. Just hit blackness. Not darkness. Blackness. Like a wall made of ink. I should have run. Should have reported it. Should have woken the whole crew. But I stepped closer. I had to see. I put my hand on the edge of the door. It was wet and warm. That stopped me. Metal doesn't feel like that. Then, something inside the gap moved. A shape. Not big, but too fast. Gone in a blink. I stumbled back, dropped my flashlight. When I picked it up, I saw the floor. Footprints. Wet. Bare. Coming out of the doorway, but none going in. I looked down the hall. Empty. But I wasn't alone. I could feel it. Something had come out. And I turned and ran. Didn't care about the storm. Didn't care about the broken rules. I ran all the way to the upper deck. Found the captain in the mess hall. Told him everything. He stared at me, eyes wide, face pale. "You saw it?" he asked. I nodded. "The door is open. Something's out." He looked down, shook his head. "God help us," he muttered. Then louder, "Why were you down there?" "I was checking power lines, then I heard..." He held up a hand. Didn't want excuses, just answers. "Did you go inside?" "No." I paused. "But I think something got out." He cursed under his breath, then walked away without saying anything else. That was the last time he spoke to me. The next day, the door was still open, wider now, at least a foot. No one touched it. No one even went near deck 4. But the whole ship felt different, colder, quieter, like it was holding its breath. The whispers got louder that night. No headsets needed. You could hear them in the walls. Soft, slick, slippery sounds. And the floor? Always wet now, even when the storm was gone. Salt water puddled in places where no pipes ran. Sometimes it was warm. Sometimes it shimmered. Brandon slipped in one puddle and split his chin open. He said he thought someone pushed him, but no one else was there. That night, Jenna came to me. She looked worse than before. Eyes red, skin pale, hands shaking. She said, "I saw it," she whispered. "In the stairwell, watching." "What did it look like?" I asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "It looked like you." I didn't know what to say, but something deep inside me already believed her. Something had come out, and maybe it wasn't just walking around. Maybe it was copying, pretending. That night, I stayed up with my recorder, left it running while I tried to sleep. At 2:13 a.m., it picked up something. A soft voice, close to the mic, too close. It said, "Welcome home." That's when I knew it wasn't trapped anymore. It was here, and it knew our names, our rooms, our faces. And worse, it liked being free.
After the door opened, everything started to change. It wasn't slow anymore. It wasn't whispers and dreams. It was real, and it was walking among us. The ship began to feel wrong. The lights flickered, even with power running. The walls sweated water that smelled like rot and old blood. And the air felt thick, like it had weight. Some rooms stayed cold no matter how high the heat was set. Others were hot, like a furnace was burning behind the steel. None of it made sense. And then the dream started. Not just mine. Brandon said he saw himself in the dream, but it wasn't really him. It had his face, but its mouth was too wide, its eyes too black. It smiled at me, he said, and I couldn't move. Jenna had worse dreams. She said she was back at the door, only this time she wanted to open it, and something inside begged her to come in. The crew stopped talking during meals. We just sat in silence, pushing food around. The air was heavy with fear, even if no one said it out loud. The captain stayed in his room most of the time, didn't come out, didn't talk. We heard him whispering once, though, through the wall, saying a name over and over. But no one on board had that name. Then one night, the sonar logs caught something. Movement. Inside the ship. I stared at the screen. It was clear as day. A shape, about human-sized, shifting through the lower decks. But no one was scheduled to be down there. I double-checked the logs. Everyone was accounted for. Sleeping. Except someone, or something, was walking through the walls, and it was heading up. I grabbed my headset, turned it on. Static. Then, thump, 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 like footsteps, heavy ones, followed by breathing, right into the mic, wet and slow. It said, "I see you, Mark." I tore the headset off, dropped it. That was it. I knew then that we weren't just being watched, we were being hunted. That night, something worse happened. Jenna screamed. We all jumped up, grabbed flashlights, and ran to her room. She was curled in the corner, sobbing, pointing at her bed. We looked. The sheets were soaked, not with blood, with salt water. Her pillow was torn open, and written on the wall, in something black and sticky, was the word "down." She kept saying, "It stood over me, it was dripping, and it looked like me." The captain didn't come. No one could get him to answer the door. Dev finally broke it open. Room was empty, bunk untouched. But there were wet footprints, just one set, leading to the far wall. And then they stopped, right at the metal, like he walked through it, like the ship ate him. After that, we tried the radio. Every channel, static. No signal out, no signal in. We even tried the emergency flare. Nothing. Too much fog, too much storm. We were cut off, and we knew it. I reviewed the sonar logs again. More movement. Not just one shape now. 3, 4, then 5. All walking slowly through the ship. One even passed right through the mess hall, right where we were eating hours earlier. But no one saw anything. Not with their eyes. But we all felt it. And the puddles, they kept showing up. In rooms with no leaks. On ceilings. On bunk beds. One puddle formed while I was brushing my teeth. Just appeared behind me in the mirror. And in that reflection, I saw something. For just a second. A shape, gray and tall, standing behind me. But when I turned, nothing. only a drop of water on my shoulder. That night, I didn't sleep. None of us did. We took shifts, watched the halls, sat in silence. Every creak of the ship made us flinch. Every shadow felt alive. Around 3 a.m., Brandon whispered, "Do you see that?" We turned, and there, at the end of the hall, a figure, standing, still, not moving, not blinking, just watching. The light flickered, and it was gone. We ran to check, no one there. But the wall? Soaking wet. We were breaking down, mentally. But it wasn't just fear. It was something more. Something that wanted us to break, to be weak, to be alone, so it could take us one by one. And it was working. That night, I woke up cold. Not just chilly, freezing. My blanket was soaked, my mattress dripping, and on the wall, above my head, scratches. Fresh ones, as if something had crawled up from under the bed and left its mark. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just sat there, staring, knowing it had come into my room and left without touching me, because it didn't have to. It was just letting me know, you're next.
After that night, things went fast. Too fast. It didn't sneak anymore. It took. Jenna was the first to go. We found her bunk torn apart. The mattress was shredded, like claw marks ran across it. Blood soaked through the sheets. But she was gone. Not a trace of her anywhere. Not in the halls, not in the storage rooms, not even in the water tanks. Just blood, and something worse. A trail of salt. Little white grains sprinkled from her bunk to the hallway, down to deck 3. Dev tried to say maybe she'd had a breakdown, wandered off, but no one believed that. Not anymore. She had screamed, loud, sharp. We all heard it, and no one made it in time. It felt like the ship wanted it that way. That day we did a full sweep. Every deck, every room, even the ones we'd been told to stay out of. But Jenna was just gone. The captain's logbook vanished too. Not his body, his logbook, the one he always kept locked in a metal drawer. Now the drawer sat open, empty, like the ship was erasing our trail, one person, one piece at a time. That night we pushed the table in front of the mess hall door, barricaded it with chairs and toolboxes, anything heavy. We all slept in the same room, too scared to be alone. But the lights wouldn't stay on. Every 20 minutes they flickered and died, then came back. And every time they did, someone swore they saw a shape in the corner. Always standing, always watching, never speaking. Until it did. Dev was on watch around 3 a.m. He sat by the doorway, holding a wrench like a bat. He was fine, awake, alert. Then the lights blinked, just for a second. And when they came back, he was gone. The wrench clanged on the floor, still warm. The chair he'd been sitting in was still rocking. We jumped up, searched the whole room. Nothing. No footprints, no blood, no salt. Just air, thick and wrong. It smelled like the ocean, like something that had drowned and came back. Brandon snapped. He started yelling, throwing things. "We need to get off this ship. This isn't right. None of this is real." He tried the radio again. Nothing but static. He fired the emergency flare gun out the window. We watched it light the sky. A burst of red, then swallowed by the fog. No response. No one saw it. Or if they did, they didn't care. We packed bags that night, tried to launch the life raft, but it was gone. The hook that held it was bent, like something pulled it straight off. No splash, no trace. Just gone. The ship didn't want us to leave. And I swear, it was starting to change. The hallways didn't look the same.
The next morning, Lenny was gone. No blood, no puddles, no sound. Just his flashlight, still sitting in his lap, still off. I didn't even hear him leave. I was sitting 3 feet away. Now it was just me, alone. Not everyone's asleep alone. Not I'll call someone in the morning alone. Truly alone. And that's when I found the tapes. They were hidden behind a loose panel in the radio room. Old, covered in dust and salt. 5 of them. All marked with the same thing. MG Log Marigold. My heart stopped when I saw the first date. January 3rd, 1985. The year the Marigold disappeared. The last known entry from the original crew. I didn't think twice. I powered up the old reel-to-reel player. Prayed it still worked. The first tape hissed to life. A man's voice crackled through. Tired, strained. "This is Lieutenant Mason Griggs. Final transmission log. If anyone hears this, don't come here. Don't follow the signal. This ship is cursed. It doesn't want to be saved." My skin went cold. He kept going, his voice shaky. It started with voices, like someone whispering below the decks. We thought it was just the ship settling. Rust, rats, anything but what it really was. Then the dreams came. Faces in the walls, screaming from the vents. And one by one, we started to disappear. He paused. I tried to record it, prove I wasn't losing my mind. I set up mics all over the ship, and they caught it. The voice, the one behind the door. My hands were shaking now. He said what I already knew, but hearing it from someone 40 years ago, it made it real. I played the second tape. This time it was all noise, static, hissing. Then a scream, high, sharp, cutting. Someone was yelling, "Don't open the black door. Don't open it." Then silence. Just a long, eerie silence. The third tape was shorter. It started with crying. A woman. Soft, but broken. It took James. He walked into the hallway and he never came back. We found the shoes, just the shoes, still warm. She sobbed. We should have sunk the ship when we had the chance. We should have let it rot. The fourth tape didn't play at all, just static. And underneath it, if you listen close, something breathing. I couldn't tell if it was human or if it was even breathing air. The fifth tape was the one that broke me because it wasn't old. It wasn't 1985. It was dated 3 days from now. A future log, somehow. And it was me. My voice. Clear. Panicked. If you find this, don't trust your eyes. It's not just a ghost. It's worse. It's pretending. Taking shapes. Faces. It knows us now. I heard myself breathing hard. Frantic. I opened the door. I let it out. And now, I can't stop it. I whispered, "It's wearing me." Then a scream, my scream, and silence. I sat there frozen. I didn't remember recording that. I never said those words, not yet. But the voice was mine. Same tone, same panic. And if that's what was coming, I didn't know how to stop it. That night, I saw my reflection in the window, but I wasn't standing that way. It smiled first, before I did, and I knew it was already too late. I started playing the tapes back to back, trying to understand, trying to warn someone. Maybe if I left them out, someone would find them. Maybe they wouldn't end up like me. But the ship had other plans. Because when I woke up, they were gone. All 5 tapes. Just gone. The machine still spun, empty. And carved into the desk was a message. No more stories. It didn't want the truth out. It wanted silence, darkness, control. I started writing things down, paper and pen. Didn't matter. The next time I looked, blank. The words vanished, like the ship was eating them, eating everything. I started seeing things even when I was awake. My own face looking back from mirrors, blinking out of sync. Shadows moving without light. Footsteps in dry hallways. And every time I looked, water. Dripping, pooling, crawling toward me. I tried to lock myself in the radio room, but the door didn't stay shut. I'd blink, and it would be wide open. I tried tying it shut, nailing it closed. Didn't matter. The ship wanted me to wander, to get lost, like the others. I stopped eating, couldn't sleep, because every time I closed my eyes, it was there, waiting, wearing my face, smiling with my mouth, and whispering in my voice. The last sonar reading I got showed something massive, bigger than human, crawling through the pipes, moving slowly. It passed right under my feet. Then it stopped, and the speaker clicked on. It said, "Almost done, Mark."
The ship started changing. Not just the sounds, not just the feelings, the shape of it. Hallways didn't lead to the same places. I'd walk from the mess hall to the lab, only to end up at the engine room. even though the engine room was on a different deck. Doors I opened yesterday were gone today, and doors that were always locked were now open. At first, I thought I was losing my mind, but the more I explored, the more I realized the ship was folding in on itself, like it was alive, and it was tired of playing fair. I started leaving chalk marks on the walls, arrows, notes, "Don't go this way." But they never lasted. Every time I circled back, they were gone, or worse, pointing the wrong way. I started hearing footsteps behind me all the time, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. But when I turned, nothing. And then the lights stopped turning on altogether. Every room pitch black, except the one I was in. One light following me, like the ship was saying, "Here. I want you here." I stopped trying to fight it. I just went where it led, until I found the mirror. It was cracked, mounted to the wall in a narrow hall I'd never seen before. No doors nearby, no sounds, just the mirror. And in it, me. But not quite. My reflection was slower, out of sync, breathing wrong. I stared at it for a long time. Then it grinned. Not a twitch, not a smirk, a full, wide grin. Too wide. It lifted its hand, waved. I didn't. Then it stepped forward, out of the mirror. I fell backward, hit the wall. My flashlight rolled. The beam landed on its feet. They were bare, wet, and they didn't touch the ground. It looked exactly like me. Same hair, same clothes, even the same cut on my hand. But the eyes, too black, too deep. It opened its mouth, and I heard my voice. Finally, I ran. I don't even remember which way, just away. The halls bent around me, stairs twisted, rooms repeated, until I was back at the mirror. But this time, it was just a wall. No glass, no crack, just steel. I turned. It was there, waiting, still smiling. "Don't be afraid," it said. "You let me out. You opened the door." I raised the wrench I'd found earlier. "Stay away from me," I shouted. It tilted its head, confused. "But, Mark, I am you." Then it lunged. I swung hard, felt it hit something soft and wrong, like slamming into a soaked mattress. It let out a sound, not a scream, not a growl, more like laughter, wet and low. I ran again, turned corner after corner, breathing hard, heart pounding. But it was always close, always just behind. Not chasing, just walking. Like it knew I couldn't get far. Eventually, I found a hatch, an old one. I dove in, slid down a rusted ladder, landed hard in a dark room I didn't recognize. Pipes lined the walls, dripping, hissing. I stayed there for hours, maybe longer. The thing didn't follow. Not yet. But I could hear it pacing above me, whistling. My whistle. It was learning, becoming. I tried the radio again. Static. I turned the sonar on desperately, just to hear something real. But the signal showed two shapes now. Same height, same weight, moving side by side. One in the lower deck, one in the upper deck. One was me, the other was it. And I wasn't sure which was which anymore.
I stared at my hands, at my reflection in a puddle, and I asked myself, am I still me? Because it felt like something inside me was slipping. Memories faded, thoughts echoed. I tried to remember my mother's voice. Gone. Tried to recall my first day at sonar training. Gone. But I remembered the door, the way it opened, the way it breathed. I remembered the smile, my smile. And I remembered what the tape had said. It's pretending to be us. So now I wonder, what if I'm not the real one anymore? What if I came out of the mirror and the real me stayed behind? What if I'm just another face it wears? And if that's true, what happens when I forget the truth completely? What happens when I forget I was ever human at all?
I don't know how long I sat there, in the dark, in that tight room full of dripping pipes and rusted steel. Maybe hours, maybe days. Time didn't feel real anymore. I stopped trying to check my watch. The screen was cracked. The numbers blinked wrong. Sometimes it said 3:33. Sometimes 0000. Once it just said leave. But there was nowhere to go. Eventually, the hatch above opened. I didn't touch it. It opened by itself. The sound echoed down the pipes like a scream. I waited. Nothing came through. Then, without thinking, I climbed back up, hands shaking, ladder cold and slick. At the top, I stood in a hallway I'd never seen before. It wasn't rusted like the rest of the ship. It was smooth, shiny, wet, like the inside of a throat. The air smelled like salt and rot, and the lights, they pulsed. Not flickered, pulsed, like they were synced with a heartbeat. I walked slow, careful, trying not to make noise. Then I saw them. Bodies, hanging in the hallway, limp, swinging. They weren't fresh, but they weren't fully rotted either. They looked paused. One of them was wearing a uniform, old, faded. It said L.T. Griggs, from the tapes. Another had a name tag that said Jenna. I couldn't breathe. Their eyes were open, staring right at me, but they didn't blink. I turned a corner, and there were more. Dozens, lined up like they were waiting for something. Then I saw a reflection on the wall. It was me, but behind me, something moved. I spun around, no one there, but the reflection stayed. Me, standing still, but smiling. It waved, then walked away, into the wall. The hallway started shaking. The lights pulsed faster, the bodies swayed harder, and the ship let out a deep, long groan, like it was waking up. The floor under me rippled, like water, but I was still standing on steel. Then I saw the writing, carved into the walls. Feed it, or become it. Over and over, thousands of times, same phrase. I ran, didn't care where, just away. Turned corner after corner, hallways looped into each other, until I saw it. The door. Not the sealed one, not the welded one. A new one. Black metal, no handle, but it was open. Just barely. Something pulled me toward it. I knew I shouldn't go in, but I also knew this was the end, the heart of it, the center. I stepped through, and everything changed.
The inside was wrong. Bigger than the ship, like walking into a void. The walls were covered in mirrors, some cracked, some clean, some bleeding. Each one showed a version of me. Me screaming, me smiling, me melting. Me as a child, me as an old man, me with black eyes. I stumbled forward and saw the center, a pool, black, still, like oil, and something rose from it. Not fast, not violent, just slow, like it had all the time in the world. It had my face, of course it did, but the skin was stretched, the eyes too deep, and its mouth hung open, jaw clicking slightly as if trying to match the right shape. It spoke with my voice. You shouldn't have opened the door, but you did. Now I need you. I backed away, slipped, fell. The floor wasn't there anymore, just more black water. I fell through it and woke up, back in my bunk, lights on, heaters humming, the ship quiet, like none of it ever happened. But I knew. Something was wrong. I stood, walked to the mirror above the sink. My reflection looked back. Then it smiled, first, before I did, and whispered, "You didn't leave. You never did." I staggered back, looked around. Same room, same hallway outside, but when I opened the door, it didn't lead to the mess hall. It led to the black room again. I slammed it shut, fell to my knees, and realized I hadn't escaped. I'd been pulled through. I wasn't on the marigold anymore. Not the real one. I was in its reflection, its echo, its shadow, the other side. And out there, in the real world, something with my face was walking free.
I don't remember how I got off the ship. One moment, I was staring into that black room. The next, I was waking up on a hospital bed. Fluorescent lights above me, beeping monitors, white walls. They said I'd been rescued. Evac team picked up a distress signal, found me alone on the marigold. No other crew, no signs of struggle, no logs, no evidence anyone else had ever been there. They said I was dehydrated, delirious, lucky to be alive. But I didn't feel lucky. I felt hollow, like something was missing, or something was still inside me. They ran tests, checked my blood, scanned my brain. Everything came back normal. Too normal. Almost like it wasn't even my body, like I'd been scrubbed clean. I asked about the others. Jenna, Dev, Brandon, Lenny, the captain. They said there was no record of them. Nothing on the manifest, nothing in the files. Like they never existed. I stopped asking after that. I was discharged 2 days later, put on a transport plane. They didn't want questions, just signatures. NDA, declassification forms. Confidential maritime event. That's what they called it. What a joke. I went home, or at least the place that used to be home. Felt smaller now, quieter. Everything looked the same, but felt off. Like the walls were watching, listening. I started hearing the voice again. Late at night, in the vents, in the pipes, in the mirror. "Mark," it would whisper, "still with me." I told myself I was just scared, still shaken. It would pass. But then the signs came. First, the birds. They stopped landing on my roof, stopped chirping outside my window. They'd fly near, then turn fast, like something was wrong with the air around me. Then the shadows. They didn't move right, didn't follow the sun. Sometimes they lagged behind. Other times, they moved first. Then I heard myself on the radio, late one night. A voice, mine, broadcasting a message on a dead channel. The door opens both ways. I walked through, and something followed me out. I turned the radio off, smashed it with a hammer, but the voice didn't stop. It came from the sink drain, the cracks in the wall, the frost on the window, always saying the same thing. You brought it with you. And I think they're right. I don't sleep much anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I dream of water. Dark, thick, endless, and something swimming beneath me, getting closer. Sometimes I see it when I'm awake, in the corner of my vision, a shape just standing there, watching. Looks like me. Same face, same clothes, but it never blinks, and its smile comes before mine. The other day I caught my reflection watching me, not mimicking, not matching, watching, like it was waiting for something. I blinked. It didn't. I moved. It lagged behind. Only for a second, but it was enough. It's getting stronger, and I'm getting weaker. I feel it crawling inside my thoughts, changing how I talk, how I move. Sometimes I say things I don't remember learning, languages I don't speak, phrases that don't make sense. Salt seals, blood feeds, mirrors open. What does that mean? I don't know. But I say it in my sleep. I've recorded it, hours of it. Me speaking in whispers to something that never answers. Until now. Because last night, it did. A voice on the tape. Not mine, but using mine. Almost ready. I threw up. My stomach rejected everything. Water tasted wrong. Like the sea. Like the black pool on the other side. Today, I noticed my reflection is following me again. More often, more bold. This morning, it mouthed something. But I wasn't speaking. I leaned in close, stared into the mirror. It mouthed, soon. I punched the glass, shattered it, cut my hand. But there was no blood. Just water. Thick, black water, dripping from my knuckles. I wrapped it in a towel, sat on the floor, and whispered to myself, I'm not alone, because that's the truth. I left the ship, but something left me, and it's still here, behind the walls, behind my eyes, waiting, smiling, learning, becoming. I opened a door. I thought I could walk away, but some doors don't close. Not really. Not once something stepped through. That something is still with me. I see it everywhere now. In puddles on the sidewalk, in the shine of a spoon, in the dark glass of a window at night. Always watching, always smiling. People say I seem different, colder, distant. They're right, because part of me never came back. Or maybe I'm not the one who came back at all. It's hard to know anymore. Some days I feel normal, like the old me. I eat, I laugh, I pretend. Other days I wake up and my mouth tastes like salt. My fingertips are wet. My dreams are nothing but water, mirrors, and voices that speak with my throat.
I tried telling someone once, a friend from school. Told him about the ship, the door, the mirror, the thing that wore my face. He laughed. Until he didn't. Until I smiled at him and he said, "Why are you looking at me like that?" I wasn't smiling. Not on the inside. That's when I realized sometimes it's in control. It moves me, uses me, and I watch from deep inside like I'm the reflection now, a prisoner behind the glass. A week ago, I found myself standing in front of the mirror in my bathroom, not looking at myself, looking into me. The light buzzed overhead. The air smelled like seawater. And then I heard the knock. 3 soft knocks at the front door. I didn't move, didn't breathe. It knocked again, harder. My reflection tilted its head, smiled, and whispered, "Let me in." I ran. Didn't look through the peephole, didn't answer, just sat in a corner until morning. Lights on, knife in hand. But no one was there. No footprints. No sign anyone had been outside. Except 3 drops of water on the floor, right by the door. I cleaned them up, but they came back the next day, and the day after that. Every morning now, 3 drops, always fresh. It's a warning or a countdown. I don't know which. Yesterday, I caught my reflection blinking when I didn't. Just a twitch, but it was enough. I smashed the mirror. All of them. Every one in the apartment. Now I avoid my own shadow. I've taped over windows, unplugged the TV, removed anything that can reflect. But it doesn't matter. I still see it. In my dreams. In my mind. In me. And tonight, I heard the knock again. But this time, it didn't wait. The door opened. I didn't open it. I swear. It opened on its own. Just a few inches. Enough for something to slide in. And now I'm not sure if I'm still the one telling this story. I'm not sure who I am anymore, or what I am. But I do know one thing. If you're hearing this, if my voice is reaching you, be careful. Don't follow strange signals. Don't answer doors that open by themselves. And never, ever trust a reflection that smiles before you do. Because I walked through that door. I looked into that mirror. I let it out. And now it's knocking on your door. So if you hear it, if something that looks like you is standing outside, if it's smiling, don't answer. No matter what. Even if it sounds like someone you know. Even if it looks like someone you love. Because it isn't. It's the other. The thing that waits behind the glass. And it wants in. Always. Always. If you heard my story and you're still here, stay. Stay in the light. Stay where reflections can't find you. Stay human if you still are. And if you liked this story, you might want to stay for the next one. But only if you're sure no one's watching you from the mirror. Because the water's rising. And the door, it never really closed.